Wu Zetian was the first and only Chinese empress. Her legend began with encountering benefactors in her innocence, reached its peak when meeting lovers in her prime, and continued with a confidant in her later years. Wu Zetian, renowned for her extraordinary beauty and exceptional intelligence in her youth, was not only blessed with outstanding looks, but also extensively engaged in literature, music, dance, and other fields, earning her the title of Talented Woman. Before entering the palace, Emperor Taizong of the Tang Dynasty, Li Shimin had already heard of Wu Zetian's name. Hearing that in the Wu Shiyu family, there was a beautiful and intelligent daughter, Li Shimin, upon first meeting Wu Zetian, was very fond of this charming and lively girl. He specifically named her Wu Meinyang. Wu Zetian also admired this heroic emperor. On the day she entered the palace, her mother, reluctant to part with her, cried, but she said, "I am entering the palace to serve the wise emperor. How do you know it's not a good thing?" However, after being married to Li Shimin for 12 years, Wu Zetian not only failed to gain favor, but also remained in the same position, always a fifth-rank consort. Under Li Shimin's neglect, Wu Zetian gradually fell into misery. Learning that Li Shimin liked calligraphy, she diligently practiced brush calligraphy, but it proved futile. Later, when Li Shimin went on military expeditions, he often took a group of consorts with him, but Wu Zetian was not among them. In the year 649 AD, Li Shimin fell seriously ill and, to recuperate, stayed in the Huanfeng Hall outside the palace. Among the consorts taking turns to attend to him was Wu Zetian. She encountered Li Shimin's son, Li Ji, by his sickbed. In the eyes of the resolute Li Shimin, Wu Zetian lacked gentleness and grace, but in the gentle and graceful heart of Li Ji, the determined and resolute Wu Zetian became irresistible. After Li Shimin's death, according to the customary practice, consorts without children were supposed to enter the Chang'an Ganye Temple as nuns. In the monastery of Ganye Temple, where the ancient lamps flickered, Wu Zetian, now alone and serene, recalled the time when she was selected into the palace by the emperor. She remembered her mother's tearful farewell, but at that time, she was still young and couldn't comprehend her mother's feelings, unable to understand the saying, "Entering the palace gates is as deep as the sea." At the age of 25, Wu Zetian was unwilling to spend the rest of her life in solitude with the ancient lamps and Buddhas. She remained entangled with the newly enthroned Emperor Gaozong, Li Ji. Moreover, she became pregnant with Li Ji's child. After the death of Li Shimin, Li Ji intended to bring Wu Zetian out of the Ganye Temple and making her his concubine. However, the opposition from the emperor's queen and concubine Xiao was intensive. During the conflicts, Wu Zetian, in a cunning move triggered by her eldest daughter's death, used a poison plot to frame her opponents. This led to Li Ji's intention to depose Queen Wang from her position and making Wu Zetian the new empress. In 653 AD, the queen and royal relatives wanted to have complete control, posing a serious threat to imperial power. In 655 AD, Emperor Gaozong Liqi issued a decree, accusing the queen and concubine Xiao of conspiring and poisoning, demoting them to commoners, and imprisoning them in separate villas. A few days later, another decree was issued, announcing Wu Zetian as the new empress. From then on, Wu Zetian and Emperor Gaozong attended court together, jointly governing the country, a historical era known as the Two Saints in Court. In the year 683 AD, Emperor Gaozong, plagued by illness, passed away. Wu Zetian, overwhelmed with grief, erected a huge stone monument in front of Qianling and personally wrote a eulogy praising his great achievements. In the year 690 AD, Wu Zetian ascended the throne as the emperor. At this time, she was 67 years old. Her career had reached its peak, and her love, along with the passage of time, had vanished with the wind. In her twilight years, she encountered the third man in her life, Di Renjie. At the beginning of Wu Zetian's reign, Di Renjie was serving as the provincial governor in Ningzhou. Ningzhou, located on the border, had a complex ethnic composition and was far from peaceful. However, after several years of Di Renjie work, the people of Ningzhou carved a monument in his honor. When Wu Zetian heard about it, she promptly promoted him to the position of prime minister. Di Renjie repaid the favor, and for the rest of his life, he traveled far and wide to extinguish fires for Wu Zetian, safeguarding the stability of the Wuzhou dynasty. Wu Zetian, inherently suspicious, increasingly relied on Di Renjie in her later years, even sharing strange dreams with him. She gave Di Renjie a nickname, Guo Lao. She forbade Di Renjie from performing the kneeling ceremony and tenderly said, "Every time I see you kneel, my body feels pain." In the year 700 AD, at the age of 71, Di Renjie passed away. He was the last and longest companion for Wu Zetian since the Zhenguan era. Upon hearing the news, the 76-year-old empress, breaking tradition, suspended court for 3 days, mourning Di Renjie. Wu Zetian was overcome with grief. She said, "With Lord Di's death, the court is now empty." The world has debated the merits and demerits of this legendary empress for 1,000 years, but there is still no conclusion.